Tonight, June 16th, 2026, I'm OG Nerd, and this is your OG Nerd News Update. And here's what you need to know right now. Buried inside this year's defense budget is a provision that critics say would fuse the American and Israeli militaries together. And Congress just voted to keep it in. Almost nobody is covering this, but we are. Tucked inside the House version of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, known as the NDAA, is Section 224, officially titled the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. Critics say this provision would do more to intertwine the U.S. military with Israel's than the more than $200 billion in military aid Israel has received since its founding in 1948. Here's why this matters. On June 4th, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna introduced an amendment to strip Section 224 from the bill entirely. The committee voted it down. It survived, and it's still in the bill right now, tonight. Here's what Section 224 actually does. It requires the U.S. Defense Secretary to appoint a single executive agent, one official whose job is to coordinate military cooperation between the United States and Israel. This is not about traditional foreign aid anymore. Section 224 creates a new structure for joint military research, integration of Israel technology directly into the U.S. defense supply chain, including the most sensitive area of modern warfare, artificial intelligence, and quantum technologies, areas the U.S. has historically only shared with its closest English-speaking allies under a separate agreement called AUKUS Pillar 2. In plain terms, this lays the groundwork for bilateral research and development, co-production of weapons, joint ventures, and licensing agreements, essentially merging pieces of the U.S. and Israeli military-industrial complex. Supporters say this is just better coordination. Defenders of the bill, like House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers, argue Section 224 doesn't create new programs, just designates one official to manage what already exists, and actually improves oversight. But critics see something much bigger. A former senior defense official named Freeman warned that if Israel later took action that caused Washington to reconsider the relationship, disentangling two deeply integrated defense sectors could take years and create real national security costs. The debate is not happening in a vacuum. It comes right after the president reportedly called Netanyahu crazy for continuing operations in Lebanon despite a ceasefire agreement, a sign of real friction even at the highest levels. And here is a number that should stop you. A May 2026 poll from the Institute for Global Affairs found that only 16% of Americans want the United States to deepen this kind of involvement with Israel. 16%, and yet this provision survived a direct vote to remove it less than 2 weeks ago. For our Spanish-speaking community and for working families across this country, when Congress permanently locks in deeper military entanglement with the foreign government's defense industry using your tax dollars without your input, this is not about foreign policy detail. This was a decision about where billions of dollars go instead of healthcare, housing, or education here at home. Here's my take, and I want to be precise about this because precision matters on a story like this. Section 224 is not a science fiction merger of two armies. It's something more insidious. A permanent bureaucratic structure that locks the U.S. and Israeli defense industries together so deeply that future Congresses representing future generations of Americans will have far less ability to consider this relationship, no matter what either government does. That should concern every single American, not because of who the ally is, but because of what unconditional, irreversible entanglement does to a democracy's ability to make its own decisions. Congressman Khanna tried to strip this out. The committee said no. Only 16% of Americans even want this, and yet here we are. A progressive foreign policy demands transparency, accountability, and the ability to change course. Section 224 is specifically designed to remove that ability. We need to be asking our representatives right now, why are they making decisions people never asked for? That's where I stand. This is your news for tonight on OG Nerd News Update. Stay tuned for more coverage. Join the conversation at OG Nerd News Update at 12:30 Eastern. I'll see you there. Stay nerdy, stay smart, but most of all, stay woke, y'all.